Sure. Break the linkage between trigger and behavior that was coming through me. So that was something that I found really valuable. And it really, it was as though I had to, going back to the mirror analogy, it was as though I had to in that moment I was being triggered, I would have to step outside myself and see myself looking at that TV screen being triggered, or looking at that scene in front of me of someone walking down the street with a baby carriage or whatever and being triggered, in order for me to say, wait, this is not your reality today, but this is, something, yes, you're hoping for, but you feel it's out of reach. And again, tease apart that trigger, mm-hmm. tease apart where I was, where that pain and where that, I think it was probably around, what do we do? It was one of the exercise. It was the vision board exercise, mm-hmm. which I think was week 7 or 8. Yeah. But it was the act of doing that, which, funny enough, I'd been saying I wanted to do a vision board for a long time. And I think that's mm-hmm. also the universe was going to help me make it happen somehow. Mm-hmm. Doing that vision board was really important for me, because that's that sense of hope, right? And to do a vision board, you have to have a vision of what could be, right? What you're going to go after. Mm-hmm. And I think seeing that vision board as, one, having a living child is a part of it. Mm-hmm. But there was also so much other stuff a part of my life that I wanted to manifest. And so that is really, that was a big turning point for me. And I say this because, it wasn't just doing the vision board, right? I printed it out. I have it in front of me. I have it. It's right behind me, actually. It's right over on my right shoulder. And I look at it, and then I started to actually say, I'm going to do this. And I would make plans to do it. So right around the time of the vision board, I think we planned our trip. And then I planned a trip that we usually do for our anniversary, but has also become kind of a recognition time for what would have been our daughter's due date. And I said, I'm going to go back to diving. even with all the anxiety I had, I was like, I want to go back to diving. That's scuba diving. And so, you know, I had actually just last week is when we came back, and I had an amazing dive trip. You know, we saw basically the hit list of everything you want to see during a dive: sharks, sea turtles, you know, unique fish to the region, like everything. So it was just an amazing dive trip. And I think that if I had just been living in my anxiety, I wouldn't have. I feel hope again. You know, we're still looking forward to trying to have a living child. But that's I've come to accept, like, that's not all of me, right? I have so many other things that are important in my life, so many other things that I can do in my life, that it's not this or nothing. It's you know, this is something that happened, and the other part is that, you know, I'm not someone who thinks like you move on from it. It just, you integrate it better, and so I feel that I'm much more integrated